10 years ago, the conversation was mostly about capability. What can AI do? Today, we're asking deeper question: who benefits? Who is accountable? Who will govern it? I see researcher, entrepreneur, policymaker, and citizens engaging in that conversation. And for me, it matters a lot. Technology is never inevitable. It reflects our value. If we have good intention, the AI will be and have that good intention. So the more voices we bring at the table and at the conversation, the better chance we have to steering AI in a direction that benefits the society.
When we talk about digital divides, I worry that the gap between people using it as an answer engine versus using it to help provide you with better thinking, that's going to be the problem.
We need to understand always what the funding model is and what is the political system behind any tool that our kids are using.
AI is not some machine god somewhere up in the sky. It's a physical building on someone else's land, drinking up someone's water.
You can make a robot to sort of be anthropomorphically credible. People, when they have a conversation with it, they think there's a human mind behind it.
What if virtual reality can be our training platform where we can interact with others without actually hurting them?
And we're now at this next sort of inflection point where perhaps the systems that we're trying to produce are going to take over the decision to commission violence in the first place.
It's not a technology problem, it's a leadership problem right now.
It's one thing to overcome death for human beings, but we're dealing with an age of AI where maybe it won't even be human beings that conquer death. It'll be sort of like AI that takes over the world.
What kind of society do we want AI to help us build? Because if we don't answer that intentionally, these other forces are going to answer it for us.
Welcome to a new season of Purposeful Empathy, a show dedicated to amplifying the voices of people from across the globe who understand the world needs more empathy and are doing something about it. This season, we're exploring empathy in the era of AI.
Together with my expert guests, we dive into armed conflict, ed tech, neocolonialism, transhumanism, online abuse, the future of work, and so much more.
You don't want to miss a single episode, so hit that subscribe button now. And if you like what you hear, post a comment and share the show.
Hi. There's a lot of noise about AI right now. I'm hearing predictions and promises and warnings, and it's super hard to make sense of it all. But as someone who spent 15 years studying empathy, I want to understand how AI is going to impact how we treat one another. So instead of forming an opinion from the sidelines, I decided to speak with a variety of AI experts. And the result is this 20-part series exploring how artificial intelligence will reshape society and our relationships. There's a lot at stake, so I hope you'll join me on this learning journey. Today, my guest is Anne Nguyễn, a scientist passionate about human-centered design and responsible AI, who recently served as Chief AI Officer for Quebec's Innovation Council. In this conversation, we explore how AI capabilities can complement human competencies, how AI is changing childhood and education, and what we need to know and do about that. We talk about the risks of allowing technology like AI to outpace our humanity, and why empathy may become one of the most important leadership skills in the age of AI. So if you want to understand what it'll take to remain deeply human in an AI-driven and AI ubiquitous world, this show is for you.
Welcome to the show, Anne. I'm so excited to have this conversation. As I've been sharing with my guests in this special series, AI has become such an important topic of conversation, and it's been slowly coming, and now it seems like it's in an exponential growth curve, like everybody's got to talk about it, and we need to pay attention to it fast because things are moving so quickly. And I've just felt that since I'm not really, I guess you could qualify me as a bit of a technophobe, I'm a little afraid of new technology. I don't tend to be an early adopter of new technology. I just came to the point where I'm like, well, you know what? I better pay attention, because if all of the
Yes.
AI gets developed without people like me who think about things like empathy, then there's a missed opportunity, right? So maybe I need to
Mhm.
educate myself. And so that's what this series is about, is I want to speak to people who do think about AI and its impacts
Mhm.
on society, so that I can inform myself and help maybe some of my viewers and listeners do the same. And so we can think about how we want to contribute to this conversation. So thanks for making the time.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's such an important topic, and 2026 will be, I think, historic in terms of AI and empathy. So, what a nice context to talk about empathy.
Oh, okay. I'm so happy to hear you say that. So we know that you're the Chief AI Officer at the Quebec
Hmm.
Innovation Council and
Yeah.
you're a scientist, but I would love to just get to know you, and I'd love for the listeners or viewers to get to know you a little personally before we dig into your
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, first, I'm a mom of two, and that's the most important role for me. I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, a younger sister, and an older sister. So I have the 360 over you. But I work at the intersection of artificial intelligence, innovation, and public policy in Quebec, where my role focus on helping organization and society adopt AI in a more responsible and human-centered kind of way. My work often brings together so many expertise. So you have the researchers, the industry leaders, government, community to think about how AI can create value while remaining aligned with our collective value. But beyond the technical and the policy discussion, I'm also deeply interested in the simple question: how do we keep humanity at the center of the technology? And there's an overlap. So in their history, you have the humanity that really advanced at some point and the technology. But now there's an overlap. So we really need to think about how technology and humanity work together. And perhaps the most important thing, and again, I said it at the really beginning, but I'm a mother and I cannot stop saying it because I'm proud. They changed the way I live, they changed the way I work. So when I think about AI, I don't only think about innovation, the technology, I think about the world that we are shaping for the next generation.
Wow. Okay. So do you get any sleep?
The real answer is I only sleep 4 hours a day.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
really?
my routine. Yeah, that's my routine.
Okay, all right. Wow. I think the only person that I know who can manage on 4 hours a day is Napoleon and Trump.
Oh no, don't say that. I want to be on the positive side. Okay, I only sleep 4 hours, but it's for the positive impact of it.
Betterment of society. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
I understand that your AI journey actually began with your newborn son, right? So I'd
Yeah.
love to know what becoming a mother taught you about AI and why
Mm.
it shaped your advocacy for what you call a more human AI.
Yeah, well, when my son was born, and when actually it started way before that because I was pregnant and I was sensing that something was changing in the world. And I say, I need to do something. I need to learn a bit more about AI. It's coming, and my son will live in a world based on AI. So unfortunately, I got my admission from Harvard, and the day that started the program was the day my son was supposed to born, and I said, "Oh, it not cannot happen. It's so hard to get into Harvard, and for 18 months, I think you can only miss 2 class or something like that. It was quite severe at that moment, and I said, you need either to just born few days before or right after, and he was born 4 days before, so I could come to class with my so I started learning about AI with my 4 days old son. So again, when my son was born, I spent long night rocking him to sleep and often reading about AI and technology change. Motherhood changes your sense of time. Suddenly, you're not only thinking about yourself, the next quarter, the next project, you're thinking about the world 20, 30 years from now. So the world your child will inherit. And for me, it was such a blessing, but at the same time, I just sensed it was such a big responsibility that I looked how AI was evolving, and AI, as extraordinary tool as it is, when you become a parent, you just realize that intelligence alone is not built and made for just magically create a good world. What matters the most is also the empathy, the judgment, the responsibility, and the care for others. So if you build a powerful system without strengthening our humanity at the same time, we risk to become something that we don't want. You know, a bad world, a world that doesn't have the sense and the intentions that was built behind the technology. So that's why I advocate so much for human-centric technology and humans-centered AI.
So I wonder if we could just take a snapshot right here, right now. If I were to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about the future as it relates to AI's encroachment on everything in the world, and how much is at risk in terms of humanity? Where are you in terms of your fear factor on a scale of 1 to 10?
10 on 10. But my fear needs to become action. And positive action. If you fear or not, but you're just hiding behind your desk, well, you just fear to fear. But if you take your fear and you're really pragmatic about it, and you're really organized on how the future is working, so you know AI has an impact on democracy. Take your fear on that and create a world where AI doesn't have a negative impact on democracy. We are fearing for the environment because AI has such a powerful is such powerful, but also have a great impact on environment. But yes, I'm scared 10 to 10 because I want my children to have water and forests in the future. But I'm taking that fear and I want to create action. So we need to make people aware that every time they say hi and please to ChatGPT, there's an impact on environment. So again, fear is not negative. Fear, if you put it in a action, you will be the actor of positive impact for the future. The same thing with the workforce that have impact on AI has an impact on workforce because it's collided with our dignity because it's such intellectual. It answers things that you even more sophisticated than you ever thought. So for sure, it will create fear on that too. So, and art and culture, because when you use Gen AI, you can just read something so beautiful that maybe someone else owns it, but you need to fear enough to build your own creativity, build your own credibility too. So yeah, I know 10 on 10 for someone who is as enthusiastic as I am is bizarre, but for me it's not bizarre. It's the strength that keep me going on every day to make sure that I build something with intention for the next generation.
I'm just so happy to know that there are people in your position that are taking action on behalf of keeping us human and humanity flourishing, right? So that's great, because I'm speaking to other people who feel less optimistic, or at least the speakers that I'm talking to now are taking action. I think more of us need to do that. So
yeah.
In your TEDx talk, which I'll include the link in the show notes, it's in French, but you press the translate button to listen to it in its entirety. You acknowledge that AI brings complementary strengths to humans, right?
Yes.
Things like relentless precision and infinite memory and unmatched speed. But you remind us that humans have strengths that AI will never achieve, including what you call candor, courage, and doubt. Excuse me,
Yes.
doubt in a second, but as well as our capacity to give meaning to what we create. So what more would you like to say about that?
AI has extraordinary capability. And every month right now, we are March 2026, and every month AI and generative AI augmented his capacity times 7, closer to human capacity. So it can process enormous amounts of information with precision and speed. It doesn't get tired, doesn't forget. It can recognize pattern we might never see as human, but human brings something else entirely. And yes, we bring doubt because we are wired to doubt. When you doubt, you ask 1, 2, 3 questions. You're gonna talk to lots of people. You're gonna look for references, but the machine is not built to doubt. It is built to perform and to be really quick. And you get impatient with your machine when it takes 2 seconds. So it is not built to doubt. So doubt is really important to make sure that is the answer, is the result correct? So that's important. It brings courage to, we bring courage to the equation, and we bring the ability to question whether something should be done, not whether it can be done, because the machine will find a way to make it done. But for you, is it really useful to make it done? And humans also give meaning to what they are creating. A machine can generate poems, yes, but has never felt a heartbeat. And that's the difference between a good poem and a well-performed poem. And it has never lost someone or loved someone. It has never stood in front of an ocean and say, hey, that's the future for me. So the real question is not whether AI will surpass us in certain tasks, because it will. The real question is, will we continue to cultivate our unique sense of human capacity that gives direction to intelligence?
I remember a long time ago interviewing someone who was an expert in touch and had written a book about the importance that humans place on touch. That it can be healing, it can be life affirming, it can be. There's so many important reasons why humans touch one another. And he was telling me that there was a robot dog that was introduced to, I don't know if it was a retirement home, but there was a difference, like a significant difference in the data between the real dog and the robot dog. But the robot dog was not negligible in terms of the comfort it brought somebody who was lonely. So I guess I'm just asking as a follow-up question, like, I totally agree with you with what you're saying, but there are a lot of people that believe that AI is going to get close enough to meet humans. Like, even as we speak, right, there are people that are not turning to therapists, but are turning online to solve their mental health or emotional problems. I've asked for advice that, I could ask a friend, but it seems to give me very sophisticated analysis of an argument that I've had with somebody. How do we protect the thing that really makes us human from not tolerating something that gets close enough?
My answer will sound a bit from the left field. The only thing we can be more than Gen AI and technology is silence and space. That's the only thing that will give the most difference between the technology and the human. You're going to see a doctor, and he's going to tell you, sorry, you have a cancer. Sorry, you cannot have a child anymore. You cannot walk. If the machine gives you the diagnosis, it will give you an action plan right away. Oh, you cannot walk, you have cancer. Here are the protocol that will unfold. But if you see a human, it will tell you, I'm sorry, you cannot have another child. Yes, he will touch you, but the most important thing that he will give you space and silence to process. That's the thing that a machine cannot give you, and we need to cherish that. And for me, when you're navigating since the social media, we lack that space and silence. So we need to reconnect with those two immediately if we want to survive the age of AI. So that's my answer to that.
Right. So there's almost this contemplative, meditative, mindful presence that
Yeah.
humans afford each other. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why I'm advocating to have meditation class at a young age, because my two children meditate a lot, and I find that they don't lose their creativity. Yes, they use technology. We are technology centric family, but for me, if we want to balance that, we need to meditate at home to be fully present. And I'm just busting everyone's ear about meditation in class, because in the world based on technology, we need to just have a moment of silence and reconnect with ourselves.
Okay, there's a whole set of questions that I want to ask about children in the classroom. So, okay, let's get there. But I appreciate what you just said, and I can actually visualize you in your living room with your children meditating. Love that. I love that visual. Okay, in your TEDx, you share this absolutely phenomenal story about your mom. So she fled Vietnam during the war, survived in a refugee camp, built a new life in Canada, and had a little tailor shop. And it was robbed on a regular basis. So apparently she came up with this crazy out-of-the-box solution. And I wonder if you could speak to the solution and how her ingenuity is actually at odds with, machine-driven optimization and AI.
Yeah. And just to understand the story, you need to just imagine my mom. My mother, for me, was the most beautiful, elegant person, always wearing lipstick and high heels. But she spent 2 years in a refugee camp. So when you're as coquette as her, and you just live 2 years in a refugee camp, when you're in Canada, you're not looking for your freedom. You're just looking for a lipstick and high heels. So you just need to imagine herself. So as you said, my mom, when she arrived as a refugee, she rebuilt her life as an entrepreneur. So she opened a tailor shop. But because we getting robbed, she said, I cannot close the shop. It's the new us. It's the thing that will keep us have bread and rice on the table. So we need to be imaginative. So I thought she's gonna ask the neighborhood to watch and to help her. But once I arrived at the tailor shop, and I saw someone, really dark with a long dress, and I said, maybe it's a nun that's welcome us when we came to Canada. So I just came closer and I say, well, maybe that's a nun. And the nun turned over, and it was my mom. She made herself a dress, and she took away her lipstick and her high heel, and she looked at me and said, no one will dare rob a nun in Montreal. And you know what? She was so right, because since that moment, we never got robbed again. And just for the fun of it, I asked ChatGPT today, because we tend to turn to ChatGPT for everything. Um, can you give me a lasagna recipe? Can you give me an advice on this and that? So I asked ChatGPT, can you give me an advice how to get rid of robbers in a hardware store, on a mansion, on a condo, on a small house? And it kept saying the same thing. Give me the same answer. It never advised me to put a non costume, So I find that my mom was so candid about her solution, and we need that candor to keep innovating, because if we keep asking ChatGPT or every Gen I for every type of solution, we will uniformize everything, every solution, and the world will become gray, and we will forget the ability of innovate. So for me, it's so important. And strangely, when I think about the story, machine optimize everything, but sometimes human transform relationship with the people. And she kind of put herself in the shoes of a robber and say, what will stop a robber? say they will never touch a nun. And she was right, because in a sense, she used her empathy to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use that as a tool.
I love that story. It is such a powerful story of the limit of AI to think outside the box. And I absolutely, absolutely love that story. You also believe that every innovation begins with human intention. So I wonder what gives you hope regarding the intentions that currently shape AI development today. So, like, what are you really excited about?
Okay, well, hopes. 10 years ago, the conversation was mostly about capability. What can AI do? Today, we're asking deeper question. Who benefits? Who is accountable? Who will govern it? I see researcher, entrepreneur, policymaker, and citizens engaging in that conversation. And for me, it matters a lot. Technology is never inevitable, but it reflects our value and the people that building it. And once I have that conversation, and people were asking me, young girls were asking me, what color you think AI has? And I just said, the color is the color of the mirror, because it reflects our value, and it changes every time someone touches. We put a fingerprint in addition to other fingerprints. So the color is really important for me, and it reflects the way I think about the intention. If we have good intention, the AI will be and have that good intention. So the more voices we bring at the table and at the conversation, the better chance we have to steering AI in the direction that benefits the society.
Okay, so then let me push back on this, because I like this mirror analogy, right? I'm wondering, like, what AI is revealing about us right now that we'd rather not look at. Okay, that's the first thing. The context. Like, I know that you're very attractive to AI that serves collective progress. But
Yeah.
I believe that most of the AI the development anyways, is driven in the rubric of private interests and sort of like post, like the very, very, maybe not post, but late stage capitalism, let's say.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's a mirror that reflects us. What are some of the negative things it's reflecting, and can we really create all this positive AI that reflects the best of us within that context?
Yeah, such a great question. And since everything starts with intention, I think the intention and the doubts are real ingredient. I'm going to share with you maybe two equations. The first one is a funny equation. You take a croissant, you subtract the butter, so the answer is a baguette. That's really harmless, and it's kind of funny. But you say president minus man plus women, the answer is first lady. So that's what AI can reveal in an algorithm if you build it around the data that has no contemporary context, because now women can be president. So it reflects the biases, the assumption, and all the blind spots. And if you don't doubt enough, well, you will pursue that kind of discrimination. Sometimes you would rather believe that technology is neutral, but that's false. AI forces us to confront something really uncomfortable. The system we built inherit from the patterns of the society we created from. So we, as fish swims in water, we swim in data, and data is the basis of the elementation of AI. So if you want an algorithm to function, you need data, and in data you have sometimes biases, you have blind spots. So AI is really revealing something about us, about the society, and where representation lacks. So our system will never be as objective naturally than we think it will be. And while we can be really uncomfortable to have that type of conversation, we need to take that conversation and bring other people around the table, people that we never heard around a table. Because you were talking about the big nines. Yeah, the big nines are there. Meta, Microsoft, Google, they are at the table. But now, locally, we need to bring other voices if we want AI to be a good mirror and reflects our society. So this is where I'm at when I'm saying AI is a mirror. If we don't invite enough people around the table, but for sure they will stay in the shadow.
Do you think?
Oh, it's not bad. It's good. That's AI that misinterpreted me.
Wow, that is so interesting. But okay, so I mean, I love your optimism, and I don't want to discredit what you're saying because I want to believe in it too. But is it possible? Like when you talk about the big nine, I wouldn't even be able to name the big nine, but I can fathom, these huge entities that have a lot of power. They probably have lobbyists in Washington. They're on stage at Trump's inauguration. It's the broligarchs, they're planning to all live on Mars or in bunkers until Mars is viable. Like there's so much to say about that. Is it naive and to think that we need to bring community voices to this conversation when these biases are baked in already and the race for AI is already way ahead of us? The policy is way behind us. There's not enough citizen engagement. There's so much going on in the world. Are we really paying attention? Is it going to be too late? Like, I want to push back and say, can
Well, could a non stop a robber? So I'm always starting from there. I need to stay a bit naive. And I think it's important for us to find that child inside of us, or just that crazy person inside of us that could believe that a nun can stop a robber. And that's the strength I'm giving on every day because, yes, I'm really enthusiastic. And it's true that much of AI development today is driven by private companies. And it makes sense. Innovation often starts where there's money, investment, and experimentation. And then there's a moment where it pivots. It becomes so much available that people that are like me, doesn't have millions or billions of dollars, can contribute with our voice. So we need to see that AI is not just another product, it's in infrastructure for society. So the challenge is finding the right balance between private innovation that needs investment and public responsibility and citizen responsibility. We need a strong ecosystem where academia, government, industry, civil society work together. But at first, it starts with investment. I'm not blinded of that. I am really well aware that we need that at first, but because the future of AI shouldn't be shaped by a single set of incentive, I need to contribute by my voice, by my naivety. So it reflects broader society, societal priorities. So I just need some time to be a bit naive so I can wake up in the morning and convince other people to find that place inside of them to say it's not too late. It's not too late because the person that will live 160 years is already born. And there's more than one. So it's not too late. I'm 43 years old. It's not too late. I'm going to work until I'm 100. And I will keep working on with other people that will live probably up to 160 years old because it's not too late.
Oh, that's fascinating. I just had like a Rubik's Cube move where one of the sides turned all one color, and I'm very happy about that. Where you described AI not as a product, but as an infrastructure. Like immediately what came to mind is, okay, once upon a time there were no highways, and then all of a sudden there were highways, and highways allowed us to travel across the country and visit each other across large distances, and that had like ramifications for society, positive and negative consequences. And the same thing goes here. I really like that frame. I'm going to really keep that frame. So given that it's an infrastructure, You believe that AI can be a lever for learning, right? I think it can be helpful as a partner. How can AI expand human potential instead of replace it?
Mm. We need to be, we need to find the AI agent that is totally complementary to us. And I teach at Université de Montréal. I have 90 students. And I say, if you're really pragmatic, don't use AI to be more pragmatic than you. Because for sure, your dignity will be shaken because you say, oh my God, I thought I was the most pragmatic one. But for sure, AI will be more pragmatic than you. It lives on a massive set of data. So for sure, it will bring something more at the table. So you need, if you're pragmatic, use AI to be a bit more creative. So that's an opportunity for you to learn about creativity. The same thing, if you're really creative, don't use AI to create for you. You totally will be shaken and you're going to be behind your desk and say, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. But instead, use AI to bring you a bit more pragmatic and feasibility into the set of project that you have, crazy project that you have. So if you don't want to lose yourself within the technology, you need one to understand who you are and then to find the complement of yourself within an agent. The same thing when you choose a coworker. You don't want to have the same person as you and agree all the time. You want to bounce idea to create something bigger.
So the idea is to keep the complementarity, the strengths of
Mhm.
one to complement the other. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. So I mean, I've asked this question before, but I remember being at a conference a couple of years ago and hearing somebody who his expertise was on existential threats,
Okay.
and which can be, I think, probably overwhelming. The humanities come up with a few.
Mhm.
He was asked specifically to comment and do a whole keynote around what's going to happen with the next generation that's being raised on AI agents, AI bots that are sort of like, you know, private tutors, let's say, right? I mean, once upon a
Mhm.
time, nobody believed that everybody would have a desktop or that everybody would have walk around
Yeah.
with a machine
Mhm.
on their hand. And so if we project down the future, it looks like every child with access, I guess,
Mhm.
resources to access it will have like its their own private tutor. And he was projecting that what will inevitably happen is that that bot will not only be useful for as a learning companion for different
Mhm.
learning styles, but will also become like a friend and will slowly but surely replace some key relationships in their own family backyard, like their
Mhm.
siblings or even their parents, where, you know, a
Yeah.
girl wants to ask about menstruation, she will, a boy will ask about
Mhm.
bullying or whatever, and they'll turn to the chat the bot. And he was saying that it will the existential threat to an entire generation being raised by these creatures as companions is that it will actually fracture the relationship with their parents.
Mm.
What do you say to that?
Wow, that's a big question. And I thought you were gonna ask the question, Mom, is AI safe? So I'm somewhere else right now. And yes, there will be a moment where you will feel the fracture. Like my daughter, she's 13, and every day my biggest fear is that we don't have a relationship anymore. And she's the softest teenager on the world. So why thinking about that? It's because you are creating with algorithms, social media, some sort of eco bubble, and that bubble is that where you need to become more visible to your children. Bring something more than that. Bring the experience, bring joy, laughter. And I so agree. And I have goosebumps with your story for sure. And because that's my biggest fear, that we live in a world where we only agree with ourselves, because in that bubble we only find people that agrees. But as parents, we don't become a mom or a dad with a a mode d'emploi. It's you don't know how to be a parent, and it's the same thing with technology. You will have to find a way to be so creative to extract your children from the technology that is so interesting. But for that, you need to be conscious enough to understand how technology works. And a lot of parents are so afraid of technology that they will say, you're not allowed to use it. And that's the first brick that will raise that wall from your children to your heart, and you need to be more open. You love the technology. Okay, let's discover it together. That's how I use it at home. My daughter, she wanted to use ChatGPT for her homework, and lots of parents say, no, you gotta, it's not good. It's perjury. I don't know how to say it in English. But instead of in my home, I said, yeah, I'm so afraid too. Let's find together how we can use it, because I didn't want the wall to be thicker and thicker with my daughter. So openness is the key to that.
So what do you feel about, there's the book, The Anxious Generation, right? That came
Yeah.
out. Yeah. And he is very excited that many jurisdictions around the world, led by Australia, but now a few countries in Europe, are mandating you have to be at least 15 or 16 years old to access social media. And of course, there's going to be all sorts of workarounds, and kids are going to find ways to not pay attention to that. Where do you stand on the issue of children's accessibility with social media? And also now I'm finding more and more examples of jurisdictions that are keeping analog in the classroom and taking technology out because they find that it slows down learning and a whole bunch of other factors.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts are going back and forth every month, because AI is such an unfinished science that I will lack a lot of humility if I say, yeah, today it's going to be this. And no, I change my mind all the time. But now, March 2026, where my mind is that we need to build data literacy. We need to democratize access to AI because it is there, and children are using it as we want or not. And it's the same thing that giving such a powerful tool. It's like giving our children a car. If we don't help them navigate it and learn how to drive, that for sure they will go too fast. For sure they won't stop at a sign. So we need to be there with them on the passenger seat, or steering the wheel with them. And it is really scary. It is for sure. But I think it's the biggest gift that we can give them is to say, it exists and we need to learn about it. My biggest dream, the pyramid for food. You need 2 glasses of milk per day. You need to eat meat or the equivalent if you're a vegetarian. So you have that health pyramid for your alimentation, for food. And my biggest dream is to build the same thing, but with digital. So to stay healthy in a digital world, you need a proportion of social media. Because if you're not aware of social media, you'll go there and you're gonna have misinformation, because you won't know that today with AI you can create a whole new video of something that hasn't happened. So, and that's not good. So you need a small proportion of knowledge on social media. You need to have balance with Zoom and Teams and the digital meetings, but not always digital meetings. So you need that proportion to say, okay, you know what? Digital meetings, only 2 hours a day max. If not, you won't be able to reconnect with your colleague. So that's my dream, to build that pyramid of digital lives.
I'm going to include in the link in the show notes, and I'll send it to you, and you'll be very impressed. There's someone that I interviewed in California that's developed a digital flourishing survey.
Really?
Looks holistically at your life, where there are places where you can do some digital detox. So
Yes.
I love the idea of a pyramid. I wish you much success developing that.
Thank you.
I think that actually makes a lot of sense. And it's like a digital diet. Why not?
Yes.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Now, earlier you thought I was going to ask you the question, Mom, is AI safe? So let's hear your answer. What would you tell your kid? And what would you tell parents, the general public, by extension policymakers, to ensure the guardrails are there for them?
Yeah. So mom is AI safe. So to my son and my daughter, it's not safe. Okay. It can be used really well or really poorly. So what matters is how we choose to build it, use it, and govern it. So it's so important. Safety doesn't come from technology alone. Like a car, it's not safe. The car is only safe if you follow all the rules. So it's the same thing. It comes with rule we set, the transparency we demand. It comes from the responsibility that we give to society, but for each citizen, every one of us has a responsibility on in the technology. So parents, educators, policymakers, all of us have a role to play. So we need digital literacy, we need ethical frameworks, we need democratic oversight, we need children that they might haven't choose to live in a world based on technology, but they are born into it. So we choose the ones we want to leave them with. So we need to step up and be there and be vocal about it. Maybe someday be like me, over enthusiastic, over naive, but we need to be there. Stop hiding.
Yeah, the chorus of citizens. I think that's what I feel called
Yeah.
to in this series. It's precisely that. Okay, I have three questions before we say goodbye. And Anne, this has been such a thoughtful conversation, and I really I love your enthusiasm and your grace. Do your children influence the way you think about empathy and technology?
Yes, all the time. Children naturally see people before they see categories. And that's such a nice gift. They don't notice only the skin color. They notice when someone is excluded. In a play yard, you always see other children noticing other children, and that's the beauty of childhood. And watching them reminds me a lot of the empathy I want to bring to the world too, noticing people that are not noticed. In many ways, raising children is a constant reminder that empathy is not weakness, it's a form of awareness, and they are so much more aware than us. And again, see how the AI misunderstand me? It always do the thumbs down. And it's really a positive conversation.
So hold on, just let me explain, let me understand that, because I reacted to it earlier. You have something embedded in your Zoom profile that will give a thumbs up or a thumbs down depending on what you say?
On my face, apparently. And my gesture. Yeah. So sometimes because I put it up the gesture, and I think the AI noticed that I do that a lot, but it's just my way of moving my hands. So the AI thinks that I'm not happy, so it just make a thumbs down.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So, well, that's actually an interesting bridge question to this. Do you think AI will change the way future generations experience empathy?
Yeah, a lot too. And it could be both ways, If we design AI carelessly, people might interact more with system than each other. And that will slowly erode some of the human reflexes. For example, when the Zoom said this, and if you weren't listening to me and you weren't totally there with me, the only thing you remember is, oh my God, Anne wasn't happy about, was negative about the answer she was giving or something. But you were really listening to me, and we saw the disconnect between the system and my real answer, which I'm really enthusiastic. So I'm really surprised that the AI just translated my emotion like that. And the other way is, if we design AI thoughtfully, it could be actually free time and mental space. For example, I have 90 copies to correct for my class, but I use AI to help me, not bring all the work for my student and put it in ChatGPT. It's not that. I just use it to free my time and my hands. So I was reading the copy and I was dictating in a AI machine to say, oh wow, that's a nice sentence. Good job, student. Or this I would have asked a bit more clarification. So instead of doing the work twice, I just did the work once. And that's a lot of free time that I had left to innovate and have time with my children and think about my next classes. So technology itself is not deciding the factor. The deciding factor is the value embedded in the system we built, and we need to keep that in mind.
So, okay, just to build on this a little bit, because obviously I'm biased. I believe that empathy is a core human trait and that we need it more than ever. We need it in our leadership and we need it in our relationships and we need it for our society. Do you believe given the ascension of AI and sort of how it's going to permeate all parts of our lives, do you think that it is a skill that we should absolutely be devoting more energy to develop, not only as a sort of strategic competence, to complement the AI machines, but also to elevate ourselves so that we don't forsake too much. Like, there's already talk about, the hundreds of millions of jobs that are going to be lost as a result of AI. But the drive for more human skills becoming like such an absolute competency that we could develop. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, technology is endless now. It's not a technological problem, it's a leadership problem right now. And the future leader will have enough empathy to take the free time that is given by technology to learn another language. You share that someone really close to you speaks 5 languages, but I think leaders of tomorrow need to speak at least 5, 6 languages, understand religion, have the courage to understand other culture, travel the world. And this is all the foundation of empathy, to be open as possible to others, because this will make us stronger than technology. And technology will, because we build the technology, we will build it with so much more intention because we are open to the world. So take the free time technology gives you to learn another language, or 2 or 3 or 4. Ask questions about history, humanity. And I think that's where the soft skill you're saying are stronger skill for leadership. In my career was deeply shaped by empathy, because I was leading digital transformation. And it was so easy. I say, well, digital transformation, we have millions for you. You just implement iPads, or you just implement kiosk. But wasn't enough, because once you implement that type of technology and you see the burden on the people's face because there were too much technology, I say, you know what, we're missing something. And I start questioning myself what's missing. And I said, well, it's just a space for empathy. So once I put myself in their shoes and I say, yes, an iPad is so slick and it's so wow when you make a documentary about digital transformation, but we just give burden ahead of them. And I use my empathy to ask, what are their goals? Well, it's to, at that moment, I work in a hospital, and I said, it's to save people. And it's not the iPad that will make that difference. So it shaped my entire career, was empathy. So I think it's the ingredient that we need to nourish a lot for the future.
And as a tiny follow-up, I was having a dinner party conversation about how we're not going to need to learn any new languages, because we're going to be using these machines. I'll speak in one language, you'll hear it in your own language, you'll speak it back. So how does that interrupt your idea that we should be learning multiple languages? I don't know which way things are going to go. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, we are talking together, and surely I'm not fluent in English. It's not my first language, but for me, it was important to do it in English because I wanted to connect with you. And the connection is not behind a machine. For sure, we could have used the how do we call it? Yeah,
Translation.
the translation, but it's not the same thing. My love language with my children is to say I love you in Vietnamese. I won't say it je t'aime. I won't say I love you. And why? Because we are connected together with my voice. And yes, I can use AI to translate and using my voice. It doesn't come from me. And in the future, people will start noticing that we are talking through machine. And instead, why talking through machine? When give the machine all the thing that you don't want to do, repetitive data entering, or all the things that you don't want to do, and there's a machine now that can help you with the cleaning of your home. Take that time and learn new language instead of pouring that out with the machine.
I find you are a contagious. Your enthusiasm is contagious. I want to keep poking holes, and I want to keep looking for critiques. And I still find myself being delighted by your answers.
See,
So
look, again, these.
maybe it's following on the opposite. I don't know what's going on. It's mirroring something. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's so nice that it's happening right now in your podcast, because we just we have evidence that AI doesn't do everything right.
Right, exactly. We have to question AI.
Yeah.
So my last question for you, Anne, is that
Yeah.
something I ask of all my guests, regardless of the topic, and that is if you could share a moment in your life, a story, could have happened 5 days ago, could have happened 5 years ago, when you were on the receiving end of empathy and what that meant for you.
Mm. I wow, it's I think I'm gonna choose a story from my parents, because I come from an immigrant family, and when we came, people from Quebec uh, were so generous. We have that small apartment with my parents, my sister, and people were so generous towards us. We have 2 bedrooms, and we received so much clothing, so much food that we couldn't close the door, and we were sleeping together in the living room because the room were filled with bags of clothes, and the fridge was filled with pâté chinois, with lasagne, with bread, all the things that we never tasted before. And that empathy brought us to where we were at that moment, but where we are now in the world, trying to contribute as much as we can with generosity, with energy, with all that we have to say, hey, you know what? You help us be the citizens that we are in Quebec, and we want to give back. And that's also the part of empathy that you can only feel because we were sleeping together in the living room in the new city we were in. So that will follow me for the rest of my life.
I can visualize the room overflowing with bags of clothing, and I'm so happy that that was your experience, because I know for many it's not that, but I am thrilled that you feel that Quebec welcomed you with open arms, and
Yeah,
how lucky Quebec is to have you
thank
as a
you.
citizen working on its behalf. So, Anne, je te remercie beaucoup. Thank you so much
Oh.
for the time we spent together. I hopefully look forward to meeting you in person, given that we're in the same city.
Same for me. Thank you so much for your generosity and thinking of me for your podcast.
Thank you all for watching and listening. We'll see you next week at Purposeful Empathy.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, please check out the other episodes from this series devoted to empathy in the age of AI. And if you know someone who would enjoy this show, I hope you'll pass it along. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.